Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 1131. An Indescribable Transaction. This is also a question I wanted to ask. The fool Klein, who was seated at the end of the long, mottled table, echoed Mr. Hangman in his heart. Leonard thought for a moment, and tried to find a possible reason. Although the birth of the true Creator originates from Rose's redemption, it doesn't mean that he knows everything about Rose's redemption. Perhaps figuring out the truth back then is one of his motives. Just as he said that, Justice Audrey objected. The angel of fate, Ouroboros, who was drawing that mural, is still in Rose's redemption and follows the true Creator. If he had any questions, he could have just asked him directly. Perhaps the true Creator's goal is to confirm Dark Angel Sasser's condition. From Shepherd Lovia's strong desire to enter the palace of the Giant King, we can preliminarily determine that. Katla gave her own opinion. I share similar thoughts. Alger glanced at the sun and said, Of course, we can't eliminate the possibility that the star suggested. Perhaps the angel of fate Ouroboros' condition isn't right, and he has lost most of his memories. He can only rely on the murals he left behind in the past to find his lost past. The odds are very low, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. We aren't aware of what's special or problematic with the kings of angels. As he spoke, Alger glanced at Mr. Fool, as if hoping to get some hints from this existence. Unfortunately, he failed to get any feedback. It wasn't that the fool Klein didn't have any ideas, but that he had too many ideas and was unable to list them out. Tail Devourer Ouroboros grows up by the true Creator's side every time he reboots. No one knows what his current state is. After muttering in his heart, and seeing that no one had any more ideas, Klein controlled the world to look at the sun. I recently obtained a batch of mushrooms that can be grown in the darkness when feeding them the flesh of monsters. I wonder if your city of silver is interested? Mushrooms that can devour the flesh and blood of monsters. Zio and company were surprised and curious. They didn't know how such a creature could exist. Indeed, there are many things in the world that we have yet to understand. This is what a scribe should record down. Furs sighed and came to a realization. Katla's eyes suddenly darkened. She sat there without saying a word or moving, like a statue. Upon hearing this, Derek was delighted. His thoughts raced as he blurted out, Can those mushrooms automatically attack monsters? If that was possible, then they could be used as food and also be used as the perimeter defense system for the city of silver. I thought Little Sun would be afraid of those mushrooms. In the end, his request is even more excessive. The world's mouth twitched slightly. No, if the mushrooms can automatically attack monsters, it will be no exception for any of you. Derek immediately felt a little ashamed as he hurriedly nodded. I understand, Mr. World. Following that, he let the fake world make a further description. Some of those mushrooms can be ground into flour, others can produce milk or are rich in oil. They're equivalent to beef. Some have a flavor that's close to fish, but there are no bones. Other than milk, which can be drunk directly, the rest must be cooked through steaming, boiling, frying, and roasting. Otherwise, the mushrooms will absorb your flesh and blood while inside your body, regaining their vitality, turning a person into countless mushrooms. Audrey, Alger, and the other members of the Tarot Club originally listened on with interest as though it was an exciting story, but as they listened in, they subconsciously shrank back, becoming unusually silent. Only the hermit Katla's eyelids twitched. She decided to have a good talk with Frank when she returned to the real world. She was very worried that, one day, when the Star Pirates were to hold a vote, a large number of mushrooms would be amongst those casting that sacred vote. At this moment, after listening attentively, Derek couldn't hide his anticipation and curiosity. Mr. World, what is flour? Is it like black-faced grass powder? Also, what is milk, what is beef, what is fish? In fact, he had seen fish before, but he didn't think that they were fish. In a swamp in the southwest region of the City of Silver, there were quite a number of strange fish-shaped monsters that contained venom. They had boils all over their bodies, while others had teeth growing out of spots where their eyes were. Some of their heads had split open, revealing a white membrane layer that could be used to hunt other creatures. No matter how strange those mushrooms are, to the City of Silver, they're all good things that are worth looking forward to. The first thing they need to solve is to be in possession of something, rather than whether it's good or not. When the fool Klein heard that, he cast the world's gaze toward Justice Audrey. Giving detailed descriptions of flour, milk, beef, and fish didn't match the world Gehrman Sparrow's persona. As a senior spectator and Gehrman Sparrow's psychiatrist, Justice instantly understood what he meant. She deliberated for a moment before saying, "The milk is the liquid that cows use to rear its young." She believed that little son could understand this easily. After all, the City of Silver had pregnant women and babies. Seeing the son nod in acknowledgement, she continued, "Milk can provide you with a lot of nutrition and help you grow taller and stronger." Audrey didn't finish her sentence because little son, who was sitting in his seat, was very muscular. After Miss Justice finished explaining the concepts, the son Derek looked eagerly at the World Gehrman Sparrow. "Thank you, Mr. World. This is exactly what our City of Silver needs. When I return, I'll immediately inform the chief. He'll definitely be very happy. What would you like in exchange?" The fool Klein hesitated for a moment before controlling the World Gehrman Sparrow. "The formula for classical alchemist." "No." Katla subconsciously tried to stop him, but she ultimately held back her urge. She secretly looked at Mr. Fool, and seeing that the great existence was silent, she immediately felt a lot more at ease. "All right." Derek happily agreed. After the exchange, Leonard applied to have a private conversation with Emlyn. The moment the other members of the Tarot Club were screened from them, Emlyn asked, "When are you letting me out?" Leonard maintained his posture and said, "This isn't something I can decide on. My suggestion is to get someone to contact the upper echelons of the Sanguine as soon as possible and get them to think of a way to get you out." These two fellows created such an accident with the simple term, protective custody? The fool Klein, who was listening by the side, felt the urge to laugh, but he held back. Emlyn's expression darkened. After a few seconds, he said, "Will it be useful finding the upper echelons of the Sanguine? The goddess is the Lady of Crimson. She still cares a lot about you guys from the Moon Domain. Although you do not believe in her," Leonard said perfunctorily. The real explanation in his heart was that an ancient race like the Sanguine, who had lived for several epochs, definitely had some connections with the various churches, especially when the Sanguine Queen was still the Night Emperor's queen. At that time, the Church of Evernight had supported the Night Emperor. Emlyn also thought of this and nodded slightly. "I'll try to entrust this to Mr. World." This was the most reliable person he could think of. Just as he said that, Emlyn and Leonard suddenly spoke at the same time. "That won't work." "You also realized it?" The moon Emlyn immediately glanced at the star beside him. Leonard scoffed. "It's such a simple problem," Emlyn returned with a scoff. "But you just suggested that I contact the upper echelons of the Sanguine. I've been locked up in the Church of Evernight for days. They must have known about it long ago. They probably didn't attempt to rescue me because they're observing, wanting to know who would rescue me, thus finding my partners." Leonard looked elsewhere. "That's probably the case. So, you can only continue staying behind Cheney's gate. Perhaps in a few more days they'll lose their patience and get you out." Emlyn didn't know what expression to show. After a private exchange between the human and Sanguine, the World Gehrman Sparrow looked at Furs and said, "Give me the venue and time for the meeting. After the gathering, I'll look for you and bring you to a new place." "All right." Furs hurriedly applied to Mr. Fool and conjured a parchment. While handing it over, she hesitated for a moment before asking, "Mr. World, what needs to be taken note of this time?" "Keep warm," the World Gehrman Sparrow simply replied. "Keep warm." Furs was momentarily stunned, unsure of what he was trying to get at. After looking at the parchment, the World Gehrman Sparrow surveyed the area and said, "Everyone in Backland, please pay close attention to your surroundings for anything abnormal. Firstly, it was very likely that Zeradal would fish Automon. Secondly, Demonis Trissy might be able to help Mr. Dorr prepare a ritual. Thirdly, George III might take the final step to becoming the Black Emperor at some point in time. All right. Audrey and the other members of the Tarot Club who were in Backlund nodded one after another. They recalled the recent situation and didn't find anything out of the ordinary. After another exchange, the other members requested Miss Justice to use hypnosis to help them forget a portion of their memories. After this gathering ended, one figure after another vanished above the gray fog, leaving only the Fool Klein. After sitting in silence for more than 10 minutes, he thought of other questions before returning to the real world. He teleported to the agreed-upon location and waited for Miss Magician to meet him. It was almost winter, and the sky had turned dark at 4 in the afternoon. Under the heavy black clouds, the street lamps hadn't been lit, as coal and gas resources were controlled due to the war.